All she wanted was to sell herself for $500,000 to save her mother. But the Korean Mafia boss had a very different plan for her. Rain fell like broken glass against the black hood of the car. Not gentle rain. Not forgiving rain. This was the kind that soaked through skin and sank into bone. The girl stood under the flickering streetlight, clutching a white envelope so tightly her fingers trembled. Seoul's neon signs reflected in puddles at her feet, red, blue, gold. Colors too loud for how quiet she felt inside. Her name was Amara Reed, 22 years old, Black American, poor, tired in a way sleep could never fix. And inside that envelope was the price of her dignity, $500,000. The car door opened. Leather, polished steel, money. A man stepped out, tall, broad shoulders beneath a tailored black coat. His hair was jet black, neatly styled, untouched by the rain. His face was sharp, unreadable, handsome in a dangerous, controlled way. The kind of man people bowed to without knowing why. Han Jun-suk. Everyone in Gangnam knew the name. No one said out loud. Mafia boss. Corporate phantom. The man behind half of Seoul's shadows. His eyes found her instantly. Dark. Calm. Assessing. She lowered her gaze. This was it. It all started because her mother was dying. The hospital room smelled like disinfectant and quiet despair. Machines beeped in slow, steady rhythms, counting down time Amara didn't have. Her mother's skin had grown thinner over the weeks, eyes sunken but still warm when she smiled. "Don't do anything stupid for me," her mother had whispered, voice weak but firm. Amara had smiled back and lied. "I won't." But she had already sold everything. Her savings, her laptop, her dignity one interview at a time. And still, the numbers weren't enough. The doctor hadn't softened his words. Immediate surgery. Overseas specialist. Or he hadn't finished the sentence. So Amara had answered an ad she never thought she would. Discreet. No photos. One night. $500,000. She told herself it was just her body. She told herself love wasn't real anyway. She told herself she could survive one night. What she didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that this night would change everything. Jun-suk stopped a few steps away from her. "You're late," he said. His voice was low, calm, no accent, no emotion. "I'm sorry," Amar replied quickly. "The bus." He lifted a hand. Silence fell between them. His gaze moved over her, not in hunger, not in judgment. It was worse. It was clinical, like he was reading a contract written on her skin. "You understand what you agreed to," he said. "Yes." Her voice shook. She hated that. "You're not being forced." "No." Another lie. Rain slid down her braids. Cold seeped into her shoes. Her heart hammered so loudly she was sure he could hear it. Jun-suk studied her for a long moment. Then he said something she didn't expect. "How old are you?" 22. "And you've never done this before." It wasn't a question. Amara's throat tightened. He exhaled slowly. "Look at me." She did. Their eyes met. Something flickered in his gaze. Not desire. Not pity. Anger. "You're a virgin," he said quietly. Her breath caught. The streetlight buzzed above them. "I didn't," she whispered. "I didn't think it mattered." "It does," he said. For a moment, she thought he would turn away. Cancel everything. Leave her standing in the rain with nothing but shame and a dying mother waiting at the hospital. Instead, he reached into his coat and pulled out his phone. He typed once. The driver opened the back door wider. "Get in," Jun-suk said. Amara froze. "I thought—" "You thought wrong." She hesitated. "I won't touch you tonight." Her eyes widened. "But you will come with me." Fear and relief crashed into each other inside her chest. "Why?" she asked. Jun-suk leaned closer, his voice dropping. "Because men who buy innocence rarely stop at one night. And I don't sell what I intend to protect." Protect? No one had used that word with her in years. She swallowed and stepped into the car. The door closed. The city blurred past as the car glided through Seoul, past convenience stores glowing white, past clubs pulsing with bass, past towers of glass and money Amara had only ever seen from the outside. They stopped at a penthouse building that looked more like a fortress. Inside, marble floors echoed beneath their footsteps. The air smelled faintly of cedar and something expensive she couldn't name. Jun Suk removed his coat and handed it to a staff member without looking. "Leave us," he said. They did. Alone, Amara stood stiffly, hands clasped in front of her like a child waiting to be scolded. Jun Suk poured a glass of water and handed it to her. "Drink." She did. "My men ran your background," he said calmly. "You worked 2 jobs. Your mother collapsed 3 weeks ago. You haven't slept properly since." Tears burned her eyes. "You were willing to disappear for her," he continued. "That kind of desperation attracts monsters." She laughed bitterly. "I already met one." "No," he said. "You met me." Silence. He turned to face her fully. "I won't buy your body," Jun Suk said. "I'll buy your safety." Her heart skipped. "What does that mean?" "It means I'll pay for your mother's surgery. Tonight, in full." Her knees nearly gave out. "And in return," she whispered. He held her gaze. "You marry me." The words hit her harder than the rain ever could. "And marry you?" "A contract marriage," he said. 90 days. She shook her head in disbelief. "Why would a man like you?" "Because my enemies are watching me," he said evenly. "And a wife is the one thing they won't touch." Amara stared at him. "And after 90 days?" "We divorce," he replied. "You walk away clean, protected, rich enough to start over." This sounded insane. Too perfect. "Why me?" she asked. Jun Suk's jaw tightened. "Because you have nothing left to lose," he said. "And because you're honest in a world full of liars." Her hands trembled. Marriage to a Mafia boss. Protection bought with a ring. A future written in danger. Somewhere in a hospital room. Her mother was running out of time. When Amara asked, Jun Suk stepped closer. "Tonight." He extended his hand. "Decide." She looked at his hand. Strong. Steady. Certain. Then she closed her eyes and placed her hand in his. Outside, the rain stopped, and somewhere deep within Han Jun Suk's cold, control heart, something began to break. As his phone buzzed with an incoming message from an unknown number. "She's closer to the truth than you think." His grip tightened around Amara's fingers, and for the first time in years, the Mafia boss felt fear. If you want to see how the Korean Mafia boss's plan unfolds and what dangerous secrets Amara will uncover next, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe now. You don't want to miss a single twist in this story. The contract was signed before dawn. Black ink on white paper. 3 signatures. No witnesses. Amara sat at the long dining table, her borrowed sweater hanging loose on her small frame. The city outside the floor-to-ceiling windows was slowly waking up, pale blue light crawling between glass towers. Seoul looked peaceful from this height, like it had no idea what kind of men ruled it at night. Han Jun Suk stood across from her. "You'll live here," he said. "Penthouse level. 2 rooms away from mine." She nodded, still in shock. "There will be staff," he continued. "They'll call you Madam Han. You don't correct them." Madam Han. The words didn't feel real. "And the surgery?" she asked softly. He slid a tablet toward her. On the screen was a payment receipt. Hospital name. Surgeon. Amount. Paid. In full. Her breath broke. "It's scheduled for this afternoon," he said. "She'll be moved to a private wing." Amara pressed a hand to her mouth. "Thank you," she whispered. Jun Suk didn't respond. Instead, he picked up his phone and typed a message. The atmosphere shifted instantly, like something sharp had entered the room. "You'll meet my lawyer at 10, he said. "After that, we'll go public." Her head snapped up. "Public." "A charity event," he replied. "Press will be there." Panic surged. "Already?" "Yes." "I don't even know how to act like your wife." His eyes met hers. "Don't act," he said. "Just stay close to me." She didn't know why, but that scared her more than anything else. By noon, the penthouse buzzed with controlled chaos. Stylists, assistants, Security. They dressed Amara in a soft ivory dress that hugged her gently, not flashy but expensive in a way she could feel. Her braids were neatly styled makeup light, natural. When she caught her reflection in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. She looked protected. Jun Suk entered the room without knocking. He stopped for half a second. That was all. But Amara noticed. His gaze darkened. Something unreadable passed behind his eyes before he looked away. "Ready," he said. They rode the elevator down in silence. His presence beside her was solid, grounding, like standing next to a wall during a storm. The charity hall glittered with wealth. Crystal chandeliers, silk gowns, cameras flashing like lightning. The moment they stepped inside, whispers rippled through the room. "That's Han Jun-suk. Since when is he married?" "Who is she?" Amara's heart raced. Jun-suk's hand settled on her lower back. Not possessive, protective. The cameras turned toward them. He leaned down, his lips barely moving. "Smile," he murmured. "They're watching." She did. And just like that, the lie became real. Questions flew. "Chairman Han, is this your wife?" He didn't hesitate. "Yes." "When did you marry?" "Recently." "What does she do?" Amara froze. Jun-suk answered smoothly. "She doesn't need to." The room fell quiet. His tone left no room for argument. From across the hall, a man watched them closely. Kong Min-jae, Jun-suk's cousin, second in command. Smile sharp as glass. "So that's her," Min-jae murmured. His eyes lingered on Amara a second too long. The event ended without incident, but the air felt wrong. Too still, too calm. Back in the car, Amara finally let herself breathe. "You did well," Jun-suk said. She looked at him. "You didn't tell me your enemies would be family." He didn't respond. That night, Amara sat alone in her room, staring at her phone. The hospital had sent an update. Surgery successful. Patient stable. Tears streamed down her face. She wasn't alone anymore. A soft knock came at the door. Jun-suk stood there, jacket off, sleeves rolled up. "Walk with me," he said. They moved onto the balcony. The city spread beneath them, glowing and endless. "I need to tell you something," he said. She turned to him. "This marriage protects you," he continued, "but it also paints a target on your back." Her smile faded. "Min-jae will test you," he said. "Others will too." "I can handle it," she replied quietly. He studied her. "No," he said. "You can survive it. That's different." Silence stretched between them. Then he added, "And there's something else." Her pulse quickened. "There's a reason I reacted the way I did when I realized you were innocent," he said. "A reason I couldn't touch you." She waited. "My sister," he said, "she was sold the same way. She didn't survive it." Amara's chest tightened. "I failed her," he said flatly. "I won't fail you." For the first time, she saw the cracks beneath the Mafia boss's armor. "I'm not your sister," she said gently. "I know," he replied. "That's why this scares me." Inside, a phone vibrated on the table. Unknown number. "She's lying to you. Ask her about Detroit." Jun-suk's eyes hardened as he read the message. He looked back at Amara, and for the first time since the rain-soaked night they met, he wondered what she wasn't telling him. Far below, a black car idled, watching, waiting, and the contract marriage had just entered dangerous territory. Morning came softly. Too softly. Amara woke to sunlight spilling across silk sheets, the room quiet in a way that felt unnatural. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then the weight of everything settled back onto her chest. Contract marriage. Mafia penthouse. A man who watched shadows for a living. She sat up, rubbing her arms. Detroit. The word echoed in her mind like a distant siren. She hadn't slept much after Jun-suk left the balcony. That message had changed something. She felt in the air, in the way the walls suddenly felt closer. A knock came. "Madam Han," a soft voice called. "Breakfast is ready." She dressed quickly and stepped out. At the dining table, Jun-suk was already there, reading something on his tablet. His expression was calm, but his eyes were colder than the night before. "Good morning," Amara said. "Sit," he replied. She did. Steam rose from a bowl of sialiangtang. Rice, side dishes neatly arranged. Comfort food. He watched her pick up her spoon. "Did you live in Detroit?" he asked casually. The spoon froze halfway. "Yes," she answered. "When?" "Before Korea. Before everything." "How long?" "Most of my life." He nodded slowly. "Why did you leave?" Her fingers tightened around the spoon. "My mother got sick," she said. "We couldn't afford treatment there. Korea was cheaper. I had a student visa." He studied her face. "You didn't mention Detroit when my men checked your background," he said. "They didn't ask," she replied. Silence. Then he said, "Did you know someone named Marcus Cole?" Her heart skipped. "No." "A lie. A careful one." June Suk leaned back in his chair. "Marcus Cole was involved in human trafficking," he said evenly. "American side. Korean buyers." Amara's stomach turned. "He disappeared 6 years ago." June Suk continued. "No body. No trail." She swallowed. "And now," he added, "someone is telling me you're connected." Her voice came out steady, though her hands trembled under the table. "I was a waitress," she said. "I lived in a bad neighborhood. That's all." June Suk stared at her for a long moment. Then he stood. "Eat," he said. "You're going to the hospital today." Relief and fear tangled in her chest. At the hospital, the smell of antiseptic hit her immediately. Her mother looked smaller than before. Fragile, but alive. "Amara," her mother whispered, smiling weakly. "You look happy." Amara forced a smile. "I am," she said. Her mother's gaze shifted. "And him?" June Suk stood at the doorway, hands in his pockets. "That's my husband," Amara said. Her mother blinked. "Husband." June Suk stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Thank you for raising her," he said. "She's strong." Tears filled her mother's eyes. "She's always been," she said softly. Outside the room, Amara leaned against the wall, shaking. "Thank you," she whispered. June Suk nodded once. On the way back, his phone buzzed again. "Unknown number. You married a girl who learned to lie young. Ask her why Marcus spared her." His jaw tightened. That night, Min Jae arrived unannounced. He lounged on the sofa like he owned the place, suit perfect, smile sharp. "Cousin," he said, "your wife is unexpected." Amara felt his gaze crawl over her. "Careful." June Suk said quietly. Min Jae chuckled. "Relax. I'm just curious. You usually don't protect things that can be broken." Amara met his eyes. "I'm not broken," she said. Min Jae's smile widened. "Interesting," he murmured. "Very interesting." After he left, tension lingered like smoke. June Suk stood by the window. "Marcus Cole," he said. "If you're hiding something, now is the time." Amara stepped closer. "I survived," she said quietly. "That's all you need to know." He turned to her. "It's not," he replied, "because survival makes enemies." Outside, across the street, a camera lens zoomed in on the penthouse window. A finger hovered over a send button, and somewhere in the dark, a voice whispered, "She remembers everything." The first threat arrived wrapped in silk. Amara found it on her vanity table just after sunrise, a small black box tied with a gold ribbon. No note, no sender. Her stomach tightened. She didn't touch it. Security arrived within seconds after she pressed the call button. June Suk followed right behind them, already dressed, already alert. "What is it?" he asked. She pointed. One of the guards opened the box carefully. Inside lay a single white camellia. Perfect. Fresh. In Korean high society, it meant devotion. In the underworld, it meant death. June Suk's jaw hardened. "Clear the floor," he said calmly. The guards moved fast. Amara hugged herself. "What does it mean?" He looked at her. "It means someone knows where you sleep." The car ride that followed was silent and heavy. They were headed to one of June Suk's corporate towers. Steel glass and armed men hidden behind polite smiles. Amara sat beside him, fingers twisting together. "You're not safe here anymore," he said. "Not without knowing everything." She stared out the window. "I told you I survived." "That's not everything," he replied. She closed her eyes. Detroit came rushing back. Cold winters, broken streetlights, the club with no windows. "I work nights," she said finally. "The kind of places where men don't ask your name." June Suk didn't interrupt. "Marcus Cole owned one of them," she continued. "Not officially, but everyone knew." Her voice stayed steady, even as her chest tightened. "He noticed me because I refused him," she said. "Because I fought back." June Suk's hands clenched. "He tried to sell me," she went on. "I escaped. Barely. My mother and I ran. We changed names. We disappeared." She looked at him then. "He spared me because I stabbed him," she said quietly. "And someone walked in before he could kill me." Silence filled the car. June Suk exhaled slowly. "That someone," he said, "was Korean." She nodded. "He wore a ring," she whispered. "Same crest as yours." The car stopped. Too suddenly. June Suk turned to her, eyes dark with recognition. "My brother," he said. Amara's breath caught. "He was working undercover." June Suk continued, voice low. "He vanished in Detroit." Her heart pounded. "I didn't know who he was," she said quickly. "I swear." "I know," he replied. But something had shifted. That night, June Suk double security. Cameras, guards, locked floors. Yet danger slipped through anyway. Amara woke to glass shattering. A scream tore from her throat as the window exploded inward, alarms blaring. She rolled off the bed just as a second shot ripped through the curtains. June Suk burst in, gun drawn. "Stay down." He covered her with his body as guards flooded the room. One shooter. Gone before anyone could catch him. In the aftermath, Amara sat shaking, wrapped in June Suk's coat. His hand rested on her shoulder. "Steady. Grounding. They're escalating," he said. "This isn't a warning anymore." She looked up at him, eyes wet. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to drag you into my past." He met her gaze. "You didn't," he said. "My past found you first." Later that night, as the city slept uneasily below, June Suk stood on the balcony. Phone pressed to his ear. "Find Marcus Cole," he said. "Alive or dead." He ended the call and turned. Amara stood behind him, pale but resolute. "If I leave," she said, "they'll stop coming for you." He stepped closer. "No," he said. "If you leave, they'll kill you." Their eyes locked, and in that moment, between fear and fire, something dangerous and undeniable settled between them. Not the contract, not protection, but trust. Below them, a figure watched the penthouse lights flicker back on and smiled because the next move wouldn't miss. The safe house was colder than the penthouse, not in temperature, but in feeling. Concrete walls, no windows, white lights that never dimmed. It sat beneath one of June Suk's abandoned logistics buildings on the edge of Seoul, a place even his enemies thought was empty. Amara wrapped her arms around herself as the steel door locked behind them. "This is temporary," June Suk said, "until I cut the head off whoever's reaching for you." She nodded. She trusted him. That realization scared her more than the gunshots. Days passed in a strange, suspended quiet. June Suk left early and returned late, sometimes with blood on his knuckles, sometimes with silence in his eyes. Amara never asked. She learned quickly that some questions were safer unspoken. At night, she couldn't sleep. The hum of electricity reminded her of Detroit, of the club, of the moment she thought she would die. One night, she found June Suk in the kitchen, shirt sleeves rolled up, staring at a cup of untouched coffee. "You don't rest," she said softly. He didn't look at her. "Neither do you." She sat across from him. "I still hear the glass," she admitted, "when I close my eyes." His jaw tightened. "They won't get near you again," he said. "You can't promise that." "I can," he replied, "because I won't let them." Silence. Then she said, "Why did you really marry me?" He finally looked at her. Because you walked into the rain, knowing you might never walk back out, he said. And still you came. Her throat tightened. And because, he added quietly, you remind me of who I was before this world took everything. Something in his voice cracked. The next morning, the attack came from inside. One of the guards collapsed without warning. Poison. Fast-acting. Silent. Alarm screamed as men rushed in, guns raised. Traitor. Jun-suk pushed Amara behind him, shielding her as bullets tore through the narrow hallway. She pressed herself against the wall, heart pounding, every sense screaming danger. When it ended, the floor was stained red. Jun-suk stood over the body of the man who had sold them out. Min-jae. His cousin's name burned in the air. That night, Jun-suk received confirmation. Marcus Cole was alive, and he was in Seoul. Amara felt the world tilt. I'll face him, she said. No. Jun-suk replied immediately. You won't go near him. He's here because of me. He's here because he wants leverage, Jun-suk said. And you are not it. He paused. I am. She stared at him. What does that mean? Before he could answer, the lights flickered. Once, twice, then everything went dark. Emergency lights snapped on, bathing the room in red. A phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. Jun-suk answered without speaking. Marcus Cole's voice slid through the line, smooth and familiar in the worst way. You married well, Marcus said, but you should have buried me when you had the chance. Jun-suk's eyes burned. Touch her, he said coldly, and there will be nothing left of you to bury. Marcus laughed. Oh, I won't touch her, he replied. I'll take something more valuable. The call ended. At that exact moment, Jun-suk's second phone vibrated. Hospital alert. Amara's mother's heart rate. Critical. Amara's breath left her lungs. Jun-suk looked at her, and for the first time since they met, he didn't know which life he could save first. The hospital smelled like panic. Not the clean, quiet kind. The sharp kind that crawled under your skin and refused to leave. Amara ran. Her shoes slapped against the polished floor as monitors beeped and nurses shouted numbers she couldn't understand. Her chest burned, every breath tight and shallow. Mom, she whispered. Please. Jun-suk stayed half a step behind her, barking orders into his phone, his voice calm but lethal. Lock the building. No exits. I want every camera live. Now. They reached the room. Doctors moved fast. Too fast. Amara stood frozen at the doorway, fingers digging into her palms as if pain could keep her upright. Her mother lay still, chest rising unevenly, eyes closed. Is she? Amara couldn't finish. She's alive, the doctor said, but this isn't natural. Jun-suk's eyes sharpened. Explain. Medication interference, the doctor replied. Someone altered her for dosage. Poison. Amara swayed. Jun-suk caught her before she fell. His arm wrapped around her shoulders, firm, unyielding. I've got you, he said quietly. Look at me. She did. And for the first time, she didn't see the Mafia boss. She saw a man who was furious because someone had touched what he swore to protect. Security locked the floor down within minutes. Too late. The nurse assigned to the room was gone. No records. No face on camera. Like she never existed. Marcus Cole didn't need guns. He needed time. Back in the car, Amara stared out the window, tears streaking silently down her face. This is my fault, she said. Jun-suk didn't argue. He said something worse. No, he said. This is mine. She turned to him. He's not after revenge. Jun-suk continued. He's after balance. Her hands trembled. I don't understand. Marcus lost his empire. Jun-suk said. I dismantled the Korean side years ago. My brother died doing it. Amara's breath caught. And now, he added, he wants me to feel what he felt. Loss. They arrived at a private residence outside the city. Smaller than the penthouse, quieter, hidden behind tall iron gates and trees that blocked out the world. Jun-suk dismissed everyone but 2 guards. Inside, silence wrapped around them. Amara sank onto the couch. I should leave, she said weakly. If I disappear. No, he said sharply. She flinched. He softened his tone. If you leave, he wins, June Suk said, and I won't let him decide your life again. Again. She looked up. You knew him, she realized. I hunted him, June Suk replied. For years. He sat across from her, elbows on his knees. I thought he was gone, he said, dead or broken enough to stay buried. Amara's voice shook. He's not broken. No, June Suk agreed. Neither are you. That night, the storm returned. Rain hammered the roof, thunder rolling like distant gunfire. Amara lay awake, staring at the ceiling, every shadow looking like danger. A soft knock came. June Suk stood at the door. May I come in? He asked. She nodded. He didn't touch her. He simply sat on the chair near the bed, close enough that she could feel his presence. You don't have to be strong tonight, he said. Her breath hitched. I'm so tired, she whispered. I know. Silence. Then she asked, what happens if this ends badly? He looked at her for a long time. Then I make sure you survive it, he said, even if I don't. Her heart clenched. Don't say that. It's the truth, he replied calmly. She sat up, eyes shining. I didn't marry you to watch you die, she said. Something shifted in his gaze, a slow, dangerous softness. Neither did I, he said. Outside, lightning split the sky, and somewhere in the city, Marcus Cole watched a screen showing Amara's face. She chose him, Marcus murmured. He smiled. Then I'll make her watch him bleed. As thunder swallowed the night, the war crossed its final line. The city held its breath. Seoul moved like nothing was wrong. Traffic lights blinking, cafes opening, people laughing into their phones. But beneath it all, something dark was tightening its grip. June Suk felt it. He stood in the armory beneath the residence, fastening his watch with deliberate calm. Men moved around him in silence, checking weapons, loading magazines, preparing for a war no one would ever admit existed. This ends tonight, he said. No one questioned him. Above, Amara sat at the small dining table, hands wrapped around a mug that had gone cold. She hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her mother's chest stutter, the monitor screaming, the 4 lines she trusted turning into a weapon. June Suk came up the stairs. Their eyes met. You're leaving, she said. Yes. Her throat tightened. Where? Somewhere you won't go, he replied. She stood. I'm not a thing you can lock away. I know, he said quietly. That's why I'm asking you to trust me. She walked closer, close enough to feel the heat of him, the tension held tightly beneath his calm. If you die, she said, I lose everything. He didn't flinch. If I don't go, he replied, you lose your future. Silence stretched between them. Then she did something unexpected. She reached up and straightened his collar, a small gesture, intimate, grounding. Come back, she said, not as my protector, as my husband. His breath caught. For 90 days, she added softly. The corner of his mouth lifted. For life, he said. He left before she could answer. Hours passed like years. Amara paced the house, guarded by men who watched the trees more than they watched her. Rain began to fall again, tapping against the windows, slow and steady, like a countdown. Then her phone buzzed. A known number. Her heart dropped. She answered. Hello. Marcus Cole's voice slid through the line, smooth as poison. You should have run, he said. I admire loyalty, though. It makes the ending sweeter. Her hands shook. Where is he? Marcus chuckled. Oh, he's coming to me. Like a good soldier. Fear surged. But she forced her voice steady. You won't win, she said. I already have, Marcus replied. Because no matter who walks away tonight, you'll never be the same. The call ended. At that exact moment, the house alarm screamed. Gunfire exploded outside. Shouts. Footsteps. Chaos. One of the guards burst into the room. Madam Han, we need to move, now. They rushed through a hidden corridor, walls vibrating with distant explosions. Amara's heart pounded as they reached a reinforced door. Then it opened to darkness. A hand grabbed her wrist. Not the guards. She gasped, struggling, until a familiar voice cut through the panic. Amara. Jun-suk, relief crashed into her, so hard her knees nearly buckled. He pulled her into his arms for half a second, just enough to know he was alive, then pushed her gently behind him. We're compromised, he said. Min Jae sold her out. Her breath hitched. Min Jae is dead. So is loyalty, Jun-suk replied grimly. They moved fast, escaping through an underground exit into the rain-soaked night. Cars roared. Tires screamed. Bullets shattered glass. They barely made it into the armored vehicle. As it sped away, Amara looked at him, really looked at him. Blood ran down his temple. You're hurt, she whispered. It's nothing. She touched his hand. He squeezed back. Then the car lurched violently. An explosion tore through the road ahead, forcing them to a sudden stop. Smoke filled the air. Jun-suk cursed under his breath. From the haze, headlights appeared. Slow, deliberate. A familiar silhouette stepped forward. Marcus Cole, smiling. Well, Marcus said, clapping slowly. Family reunion. Jun-suk stepped out of the car, shielding Amara behind him. This ends now, Jun-suk said. Marcus's gaze slid past him, to her. Not yet, Marcus replied. I didn't come for you. He raised his hand, and somewhere behind them, a gun clicked, right next to Amara's ear. Her breath froze, because the voice that whispered, I'm sorry, was one she recognized and trusted. The night went silent. I'm sorry. The words barely made a sound, but they shattered everything. Amara felt the cold press of metal against the side of her head, her breath locked in her chest. The rain fell harder, blurring the world into streaks of light and shadow. Behind her stood Yoon, Hae-jin, the woman who brought her tea every morning, the woman who adjusted her coats, the woman who told her she was safe. Jun-suk froze. Hae-jin, he said slowly, put the gun down. Hae-jin's hand trembled, tears mixed with rain on her cheeks. I didn't have a choice, she whispered. He has my brother. Marcus stepped closer, enjoying every second. Loyalty is such a fragile thing, he said. It bends easily when you know where to apply pressure. Amara swallowed, forcing herself not to panic. Hae-jin, she said softly. Look at me. Hae-jin hesitated, just for a second. That second was enough. Jun-suk moved, fast, precise. He twisted, knocking the gun aside as it fired into the air. Guards rushed in from both sides. Marcus shouted. Chaos erupted, and rain swallowed the sound of everything breaking at once. Amara fell back against the car, heart racing. Jun-suk stood between her and Marcus again, chest heaving, eyes burning. This is over, Jun-suk said. Marcus laughed, but it wasn't confident anymore. You think this is my only move? Marcus snapped. You think I came alone? Sirens wailed in the distance. Police. Too many. Too soon. Marcus's smile returned. I tipped them off, he said. Anonymous call. Illegal weapons. Corporate crimes. Your name. Jun-suk's jaw tightened. If I go down, Marcus continued, I take you with me. Red and blue lights flooded the street. Officers shouted commands. Hands where we can see them. Jun-suk slowly raised his hands. So did Marcus. Amara's chest tightened. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. As officers moved in, one of Jun-suk's men leaned close to him and whispered something urgent. Jun-suk's eyes flicked to Amara, sharp, assessing. Then he did something no one expected. He stepped away from her. Take him, Jun-suk said calmly to the police. I'll cooperate. What? Amara breathed. He met her gaze. Trust me. They cuffed him. Marcus stared, stunned. This isn't over. Marcus hissed as he was dragged away. I'll burn everything you love. Jun-suk didn't respond. He just looked at Amara one last time before they pushed him into the car. That look stayed with her. All night, hours later, Amara sat alone in a police interview room, wrapped in a blanket, hands shaking. A detective entered. Mrs. Hahn, he said carefully, your husband has made a full statement. Her heart dropped. He confessed. He took responsibility, the detective said, for everything. Tears spilled down her cheeks. He did that to protect me, she whispered. The detective paused. There's something else, he said. A witness came forward. He slid a file across the table. Marcus Cole's financial records, hidden accounts, names, including Min Jae, and a forged paper trail meant to frame Jun Suk. It changes everything, the detective said. Your husband may walk free. Hope flickered, but it was fragile, because as Amara left the station, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You think this ends with bars and handcuffs? I'm not finished. Her breath caught. Across the street, through the crowd, she saw Jean watching her, not crying, smiling. And Amara realized the truth far too late. The betrayal hadn't ended. It had only changed shape. The first thing Amara learned about waiting was that it hurt more than fear. Days passed, then weeks. Jun Suk remained in detention while investigations twisted through money trails, shell companies, and buried crimes that stretched across borders. The media devoured the story. Korean tycoon, secret marriage, underworld ties. Amara watched it all from a distance, living in a quiet apartment arranged by his lawyers. No staff, no guards in sight, just silence that pressed in too close at night. She visited him twice a week. The room was always cold, glass between them. He looked thinner, still calm, still controlled, but his eyes softened every time they met hers. You shouldn't come so often, he told her once. I'm your wife, she replied. That's what wives do. He smiled faintly. Are you afraid? He asked. She nodded. Every day. Good, he said. That means you're alive. But danger didn't care about glass walls or court schedules. One evening, as Amara returned from the market, she felt it. That shift, the air behind her changed. She turned. Too late. A hand clamped over her mouth. Another pulled her back into the alley. She kicked, struggled, bit down hard. Pain exploded in her side. Then darkness. When she woke, the smell hit her first. Old metal, dust, oil, a warehouse. Her hands were tied to a chair. Her head throbbed. A single light hung overhead, swaying slightly. You're tougher than you look. Marcus Cole stepped into the light. Alive, unbruised, smiling. You shouldn't be here, Amara said, her voice hoarse. You shouldn't have married him, Marcus replied. He circled her slowly. Do you know what it feels like, he said, to lose everything because you underestimated one man? She met his gaze, forcing her fear down. You did this to yourself. Marcus laughed. You sound just like him. He leaned in. You're the last piece, he said. The only thing he couldn't burn. Her heart pounded. He'll come for me, she said. Marcus's smile widened. I'm counting on it. Hours later, an alarm triggered in a detention wing. A fight. A distraction. Jun Suk moved. He didn't ask permission. He didn't wait for protection. He followed instinct. The address came from a source who owed him a life. By the time he reached the warehouse, it was raining again. Of course it was. Inside, gunfire echoed. Men fell. Jun Suk didn't slow. He found her tied to the chair, blood on her lip, eyes burning with defiance. Amara, he breathed. She looked up. You're not supposed to be here, she said weakly. He crossed the room in 2 strides and cut her free. I told you, he said. I don't survive a world where you don't. Marcus appeared behind them, gun raised. You always choose emotion over strategy, Marcus said. Jun Suk turned slowly, placing himself in front of Amara. And you always mistake that for weakness, he replied. The shot rang out, but it wasn't Marcus's. Jean screamed as she fell, the gun slipping from her hand. She had been standing behind Marcus, crying, bleeding. I wanted it to stop, she sobbed. I wanted everyone to live. Marcus stared at her in disbelief. You chose them, he snarled. She shook her head. I chose myself. Sirens wailed in the distance. Marcus ran. He didn't make it far. When the dust settled, rain washed the blood from the concrete. Police lights painted the warehouse red and blue. Marcus Cole was finally gone. For real this time. Weeks later, sunlight filled a small chapel overlooking the Han River. Amara stood at the window, wearing a simple white dress. No cameras, no reporters, just peace. June Suk came up behind her. This time, he said, "There's no contract." She turned. "Good," she replied, "because I'm not leaving after 90 days. He took her hands. "Stay," he said, "not because you owe me, but because you choose me." She smiled through tears. "I already did," she said. Outside, the city moved on. Inside, two broken people finally stood whole. But as the chapel doors opened, a phone buzzed in June Suk's pocket. Unknown number. One final message. "Congratulations. But every empire leaves shadows." June Suk silenced the phone and pulled Amara closer, because whatever came next, they would face it together. The morning was quiet, not the fragile kind of quiet that waits to be broken, but the deep, earned kind. Sunlight spilled across the Han River, soft and gold, turning the water into glass. The city breathed below, alive and ordinary, as if it had never known blood or secrets. Amara stood barefoot on the balcony, hands resting over her stomach, feeling the breeze move through her braids. Inside, June Suk watched her, really watched her, not like a man guarding something precious, but like a man who had finally come home. "You should be resting," he said gently. She smiled without turning. "I am." He stepped closer, placing his hands over hers. "You're thinking too loudly," he murmured. She laughed softly. "You always know." "I had to," he said. "Survival taught me how." They stood like that for a moment. No guards, no alarms, no shadows creeping at the edges of the room. Just them. 3 months had passed since Marcus Cole's final fall. This time there were bodies, evidence, confessions that couldn't be erased. The empire Marcus tried to rebuild collapsing on itself, swallowed by the very systems he once controlled. Hey, Jean survived. She testified. She disappeared. And no one went looking. June Suk had walked free, not because he was untouchable, but because the truth had finally caught up to the lies meant to bury him. He resigned from everything that still smelled like blood, sold off assets, burned bridges. The underworld whispered his name like a ghost story now. The man who walked away. Amara turned to face him. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Leaving that world?" He shook his head. "I regret staying as long as I did," he said. "I regret thinking power was the same as protection." He looked down at her hands again. "This," he said quietly, "is protection." Tears filled her eyes. At the hospital, her mother slept peacefully in a sunlit room, stronger every day. She had learned the truth, not all of it, but enough. She knew her daughter was loved and safe. That afternoon, they returned to the chapel by the river. No press, no contracts, no signatures written in fear. Just vows spoken slowly, carefully, like promises that understood the weight of the world. June Suk took Amara's hands. "I spent my life building walls," he said. "You walked through them without knowing they were there." Amara swallowed. "I spent my life surviving," she replied. "You taught me how to live." When they kissed, it wasn't desperate. It was steady, certain, real. Later, as dusk settled and the city lights came alive one by one, Amara leaned against him on the balcony of their new home. Smaller, warmer, filled with quiet laughter instead of guards. "Do you think the past ever really lets go?" she asked. June Suk thought for a moment. "No," he said, "but it stops chasing you when you stop running." She smiled. Inside, a soft heartbeat fluttered beneath her ribs. Their future. Their miracle. June Suk felt it too, even before she told him. He rested his hand there, reverent. "I'll protect you," he whispered. "Both of you." She covered his hand with hers. "I know," she said, "but this time we protect each other." Below them, Seoul stretched endlessly, bright, loud, imperfect. And for the first time, the shadows stayed behind. Because love had won, And this story did not end in tragedy. It ended in peace. Rain fell like broken glass against the black hood of the car. Not gentle rain. Not forgiving rain. This was a kind that soaked through skin and sank into bone. The girl stood under the flickering streetlight, clutching a white envelope so tightly her fingers trembled. Seoul's neon signs reflected in puddles at her feet, red, blue, gold. Colors too loud for how quiet she felt inside. Her name was Amara Reed, 22 years old, Black American, poor, tired in a way sleep could never fix. And inside that envelope was the price of her dignity, $500,000. The car door opened. Leather, polished steel, money. A man stepped out, tall, broad shoulders beneath a tailored black coat. His hair was jet black, neatly styled, untouched by the rain. His face was sharp, unreadable, handsome in a dangerous, controlled way. The kind of man people bowed to without knowing why. Han Jun-suk. Everyone in Gangnam knew the name. No one said out loud. Mafia boss. Corporate phantom. The man behind half of Seoul's shadows. His eyes found her instantly. Dark. Calm. Assessing. She lowered her gaze. This was it. It all started because her mother was dying. The hospital room smelled like disinfectant and quiet despair. Machines beeped in slow, steady rhythms, counting down time Amara didn't have. Her mother's skin had grown thinner over the weeks, eyes sunken but still warm when she smiled. "Don't do anything stupid for me," her mother had whispered, voice weak but firm. Amara had smiled back and lied. "I won't." But she had already sold everything. Her savings, her laptop, her dignity one interview at a time. And still, the numbers weren't enough. The doctor hadn't softened his words. Immediate surgery, overseas specialist, or he hadn't finished the sentence. So Amara had answered an ad she never thought she would. Discreet. No photos. One night, $500,000. She told herself it was just her body. She told herself love wasn't real anyway. She told herself she could survive one night. What she didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that this night would change everything. Jun-suk stopped a few steps away from her. "You're late," he said. His voice was low, calm, no accent, no emotion. "I'm sorry," Amar replied quickly. "The bus." He lifted a hand. Silence fell between them. His gaze moved over her, not in hunger, not in judgment. It was worse. It was clinical, like he was reading a contract written on her skin. "You understand what you agreed to," he said. "Yes." Her voice shook. She hated that. "You're not being forced." "No." Another lie. Rain slid down her braids. Cold seeped into her shoes. Her heart hammered, so loudly she was sure he could hear it. Jun-suk studied her for a long moment. Then he said something she didn't expect. "How old are you?" 22. "And you've never done this before." It wasn't a question. Amara's throat tightened. He exhaled slowly. "Look at me." She did. Their eyes met. Something flickered in his gaze. Not desire. Not pity. Anger. "You're a virgin," he said quietly. Her breath caught. The street light buzzed above them. "I didn't," she whispered. "I didn't think it mattered." "It does," he said. For a moment, she thought he would turn away. Cancel everything. Leave her standing in the rain with nothing but shame and a dying mother waiting at the hospital. Instead, he reached into his coat and pulled out his phone. He typed once. The driver opened the back door wider. "Get in," Jun-suk said. Amara froze. "I thought—" "You thought wrong." She hesitated. "I won't touch you tonight." Her eyes widened. "But you will come with me." Fear and relief crashed into each other inside her chest. "Why?" she asked. Jun-suk leaned closer, his voice dropping. "Because men who buy innocence rarely stop at one night. And I don't sell what I intend to protect." Protect? No one had used that word with her in years. She swallowed and stepped into the car. The door closed. The city blurred past as the car glided through Seoul, past convenience stores glowing white, past clubs pulsing with bass, past towers of glass and money Amara had only ever seen from the outside. They stopped at a penthouse building that looked more like a fortress. Inside, marble floors echoed beneath their footsteps. The air smelled faintly of cedar and something expensive she couldn't name. Jun Suk removed his coat and handed it to a staff member without looking. "Leave us," he said. They did. Alone, Amara stood stiffly, hands clasped in front of her like a child waiting to be scolded. Jun Suk poured a glass of water and handed it to her. "Drink." She did. "My men ran your background," he said calmly. "You worked 2 jobs. Your mother collapsed 3 weeks ago. You haven't slept properly since." Tears burned her eyes. "You were willing to disappear for her," he continued. "That kind of desperation attracts monsters." She laughed bitterly. "I already met one." "No," he said. "You met me." Silence. He turned to face her fully. "I won't buy your body," Jun Suk said. "I'll buy your safety." Her heart skipped. "What does that mean?" "It means I'll pay for your mother's surgery. Tonight, in full." Her knees nearly gave out. "And in return," she whispered. He held her gaze. "You marry me." The words hit her harder than the rain ever could. "And marry you?" "A contract marriage," he said. 90 days. She shook her head in disbelief. "Why would a man like you?" "Because my enemies are watching me," he said evenly. "And a wife is the one thing they won't touch." Amara stared at him. "And after 90 days?" "We divorce," he replied. "You walk away clean. Protected. Rich enough to start over." This sounded insane. Too perfect. "Why me?" she asked. Jun Suk's jaw tightened. "Because you have nothing left to lose," he said. "And because you're honest in a world full of liars." Her hands trembled. Marriage to a Mafia boss. Protection bought with a ring. A future written in danger. Somewhere in a hospital room, her mother was running out of time. When? Amara asked. Jun Suk stepped closer. "Tonight." He extended his hand. "Decide." She looked at his hand. Strong. Steady. Certain. Then she closed her eyes and placed her hand in his. Outside, the rain stopped. And somewhere deep within Han Jun Suk's cold, control heart, something began to break. As his phone buzzed with an incoming message from an unknown number. "She's closer to the truth than you think." His grip tightened around Amara's fingers. And for the first time in years, the Mafia boss felt fear.